This social media posting automation is incredibly easy to make. I'm going to walk you through how to build it step by step. Let's take a look. This one is actually my personal master content management system. There's a lot of stuff going on in this one, ton of stuff to work with and use here. This is my actual system that I use for posting all of my content. But what we're going to be taking a look at is the content workflow tab here, where I can build out all my content, and the publish table where I can schedule all my content to be posted to whatever platforms I want. So in the content workflow, I can create any new records here and just create a video. I can create a title, I can add my media file right here, and I can type in a custom caption. Now what this can also do, I have my hashtag presets for whatever platform I want in here, specific hashtags for each of them, and I can actually generate captions using AI. So I can build off of image descriptions, get audio transcripts, or just simply create a caption from my custom input right here. So when I enter in a file, enter in a caption, just something like that, you can see it starts to build out the full Instagram caption, plus the hashtags. If I go ahead and add any hashtag presets I want, let's just say for YouTube, it'll start to build out the entire caption with hashtags. Then I can choose the account, whatever account I want to post to. And for myself, I have two different businesses that I post to. So Digital Automation Diagram or my broad Sleepy Sea Monster accounts. And when I choose one of these accounts, you can see, let's go ahead and choose my YouTube account. That'll automatically pop in the platform right here, and that way it'll get tagged for each specific platform I want to publish to. Then I can go ahead and publish it, add it to the queue. That will pop out of this list and pop into this list right here. Now, the reason it's not showing up already is because it's waiting on a file, an actual media file for the content I want to be posting. So it's going to say in progress until all of the required fields are filled out, and then once they are filled out, it's ready to publish and will pop into here. Okay, so that's the Airtable management side of things. In this video, we're going to be building out this table, and we're going to be building out this table. We're also going to be building out the actual automation in n8n right here. So once that gets posted, it'll go into the queue. The queue will wait for the scheduled time to be posted right here. Once that scheduled time is hit, it'll run down the chain and post to all the listed social media accounts right here. And you can see I have those connected: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X. Awesome. So hopefully that gives a good overview. Let's dive into the step-by-step build. We're going to start in Airtable. Go back into my main Airtable workspace. If you don't have Airtable or n8n, you want to check out this workflow, I have the links to Airtable and n8n in the description of this video. By the way, if you want to learn more about this stuff, I teach you step by step. We do one-on-one calls, all kinds of good stuff in my school community. I'm very active teaching people one-on-one how to work on these types of automations, and we can work through any projects or troubleshooting you may have. The link to my school community is in the description of the video. Cool, so I'm going to start a new base. Click the create button up here. This will let me build an app from scratch. If you watch some of my other videos, you know that I like to immediately close down all the default stuff that pops up. I'm going to close this down right here, and I'm going to delete these 5 default fields. I'll select all these fields, right click on one of them and say delete 5 fields. So you can't delete this first field. This is your primary field in Airtable. You always have to have a primary field, and it's marked by this divider line right here. This is the field that's always going to show up no matter what you're doing. It'll just be on top of everything. This is also the field when you're creating linked records. This is the field that you are connecting to. So don't need to know about that. If you're just learning Airtable, just need to know that we can't actually delete this first field when we start a blank table. So I'm going to come up here and name my Airtable base. This is something like post scheduler, something like that. You can name your base whatever you want. This one's just going to be my demo version, so I'll name mine just like that. For table 1, this is going to be our content workflow table. We're going to design the content or build the content inside of this table, adding captions, whether they're manual or automatic with AI. So I'll double click on the table name to rename it name it content workflow, and click save. So next thing down, straight down here, we have the first grid view. I'm gonna go ahead and just double click that and name this all data, just for debugging, for testing, for looking at all of your information at a glance. Having an all data field is something I like to do to keep that in there. Cool. So for the first field, we can keep this simple and sweet, but what I like to do here sometimes is creating a record ID. So I'm going to double click this field name it record, capital I, lowercase d. That's just how things kind of get named in n8n when you're looking at record IDs, stuff coming through from webhooks, things like that. So I'm going to name it record ID. For the field type, I'm going to click in here and find the formula field type. In the box, type in REC. We'll see the automatic pop up here for the record ID function. Click on that and type the closing parenthesis on the keyboard to finish off that function. Don't need to know about writing formulas. In case you ever need to do any calculations or formulas in Airtable, you can always use ChatGPT, some LLM, to write formulas for you. This one is a built-in function, so we can just select it like that. So now what happens when we click save, we're gonna see the Airtable record IDs pop up. These are automatically generated for each record. If I add a new record, by clicking the plus, you can see now record number 4 has this record ID, just something Airtable does. That's how we're gonna handle the automation stuff, by looking at actual record IDs for each record or row. Cool, moving down to the first field, what we need, title field. So I'm gonna look up a field type here. Let's just do a single line text. We can name this field title or a YouTube title if you want to be specific. Click create field. For the next one, click the plus to create a new field. For this one, I like to add in the file. This will be an attachment field. Click on attachment. This will be my actual media file, my video, my image, whatever I want to be posting. Click create field. Click the plus to create a new field. This one will be a long text type, and we can name it custom caption. This is where we can type in a custom caption. Let's click create field. Next one is going to be a link to another record from another table. So this is going to be the hashtag presets field, right? We can add in any hashtags we want. So this is the beauty and magic of Airtable, is linking records, linking your tables together, synergizing all of your data into specific records and being able to utilize it. So let's come up here, click the plus to create a new table. We'll say start from scratch, and we can name this hashtag presets. Cool, click save. This will create a brand new table. So same thing I like to do, just deleting everything out to default. Delete these 5 new fields. We have our primary field we can't change. And for the grid view, double click that and name it all data. Now for the actual hashtag presets, I can name these whatever I want. Say for the first one, we'll create some hashtags for YouTube. We can do Instagram and so on. That'll be the record name. And for the next field, click the plus to create a new field. This will be a long text type. We'll name it hashtags and click create field. Now this is where we can actually type in the hashtags we want to use. So for YouTube, you can just say hashtag AI, automation, and n8n, something like that. You get the idea here. You can add in whatever hashtags you want for your platforms and for your specific niche. Okay, so let's see how we manipulate this table and get this data into this table right here. I'm gonna jump back over to, well, let's see. Before we do that, let's create a new field just to label these things. I like really strong visuals in all of my tables just to distinguish things a lot better. So let's create a new field. This will be a single select drop down field. Click on that. We'll name it label or platform. Now we can add drop down selection options. I'll click on add an option. This will be YouTube, Instagram, and so on. You could add in all the platforms you want, but something I like to do is click the little tab right here. This will let you color code everything. So that's just a personal preference. I like to color code everything, so at a glance I can see it a lot easier. So I'll add in these 2 platform labels, click create the field, and now I can assign these labels. I'll click into this drop down and assign YouTube, click into this drop down again and assign Instagram for this one. Cool, so let's jump back into our content workflow tab. and get that hashtag preset field into this table over here. So I'm going to click the plus to create a new table, and this one will be a link to another record. We want to link to the hashtag presets table. We can allow linking to multiple records if you want. Don't need to know about that right now if you're just learning this stuff, but we can link to multiple hashtag presets if you want something more generic in there to link up. Don't need to know about that. Just keep following along and you'll learn this stuff as you go. So I'm going to click create field. Don't need to name it. It'll pop up with a default name, hashtag presets. But what we do need to find is the actual hashtags from that field. So this is going to look up those 3 fields from the hashtag presets table, the name field, hashtag field, and the platform field. So we want to actually get the hashtags into our content workflow table. So I'm going to look up that field, click on add one field, and now we have our linked record right here, and we're looking up the actual hashtags. And you can see that one was automatically named as well, hashtags from hashtag presets table. So what happens when I click in here now, we can select one of those hashtags from the hashtag presets table or multiple. YouTube, I can click the plus again, select the Instagram hashtags, and now we can see over here, we're building out the actual hashtags. I don't have anything in Instagram. You can double check, nothing is here. And I have these 3 hashtags in YouTube right there. So don't worry if that doesn't quite make sense. This is the magic and power of Airtable building out linked records, and you'll be able to learn it the more you do it and follow along. So now I can link up my records. I'm just going to remove both of these and get the hashtags in here. Now, I don't necessarily need to see the actual hashtags in my content workflow. I can just establish the presets and see those hashtags when I'm ready to publish. What I'm going to do is create a new view over here. We want a new grid view. I'll name this workflow or something like that. Create the new view. And now I can move this view to the top by dragging these 6 little dots. Functionally, this new view is exactly the same as the all data view right now, but what we're going to do is in the workflow view, I'm going to come up to hide fields, and I'm going to hide the hashtag lookup field. That means we're not going to be able to see it, but that information is still there. Those hashtags that we need when the automation actually runs. Okay, again, don't worry if that doesn't make sense quite yet. It will all come into alignment when you see how it runs. So we have our hashtag presets ready to go. Let's click the plus to create the next field. This is going to be a formula field, and we can name this full caption, complete caption, something like that. And we're going to add a calculation in here. So here's a pro tip on writing the formulas, right? Just like I mentioned, you can ask ChatGPT. We're going to jump over there and do that. I can show you exactly how I do it. So I'm going to come into ChatGPT and I'm going to give some context here. So what we're actually trying to do is put our custom caption together with our hashtag presets to build the full caption, right? The text caption plus the hashtags are going to be the full caption. So I can tell ChatGPT that right there. I can say, I need an Airtable formula that will combine my caption text from a field called custom caption with text from a field called hashtags from hashtag presets. So that one, we're going to have to take a look at that just so you know what I mean right here. So we can leave in typos and all, but I'm pausing right here to emphasize that your field names have to be spelled exactly the way they are spelled in Airtable. We're building the formula based on these field names, okay? So we need those field names. ChatGPT needs to know those field names that we're actually putting in here. So custom caption plus, let's go grab our other field name. I'm gonna jump back into the all data view. First, let's just cancel this so we can jump back into all data, and we need our actual hashtags from the lookup field right here. So hashtags from hashtag presets. Now we can go ahead and rename this field. I'll double click on it. Let's rename it to simply hashtags. Okay, now we have a field called hashtags that have the text we want to add in. So I'm going to come back into ChatGPT and I'm going to say hashtags. Okay, something to emphasize here is this line, if text is present in either field. So that's just saying if there's text here, we can add that even if there's no text here, we don't need to add that. Something like that, right? You'll see what I mean when this pops out. So I'm going to send that off. And just like that, we'll get the custom formula. We can even say, after the custom caption text, add 2 line breaks before the hashtag text. That'll just create those 2 line breaks when the hashtags get added in. Again, don't worry if that doesn't make sense. You'll see what I mean when it pops out and start to be able to piece this stuff together. So I'll send that one off. Cool, and we've got our 2 line breaks added in right there. So I'm going to copy that, jump back into Airtable. Let's come into the workflow view. Go ahead and create the new record. Select the formula type. Let's name it full caption, and I'll paste that output from ChatGPT. Okay, click save. Now let's give it a test. It's going to calculate these 2 fields, add them together. Let's see if it works. So in the custom caption field, I'll type in here. Cool, that gets added to the full caption, and in the hashtags field, I'll select these hashtags, and that gets added to the full caption. If I expand this out, we can see the line breaks have been inserted in there correctly, so that is working great. Now you can type in a full caption and select your hashtags. That will pop into the full caption section. Awesome. Now, same thing as the hashtag presets table. We're gonna add in another linked table for our accounts. So I'm gonna come up here, click the plus to create a new table. We'll start from scratch. We'll name this accounts. This will be where you keep all of your social media profiles and account names, stuff like that. So we'll save that. I'm gonna delete the 5 default records, select them all, right click on one, click delete 5 fields. Then for the name, we can leave that one. That's our primary field. We'll rename the grid view all data, and we could add in our account names over here. So this will be digital automation diagram for my YouTube channel, Kirk Hartman automation for my Instagram. So same thing, I'll add the platform labels. Let's click the plus here, create a new field. This will be a single select drop down type, can name it platform. And for the options, we can add in the platforms. I'll add in YouTube and Instagram. Of course, you can add all the platforms you want to use. Then I'll click the little button right here to color code these: YouTube, Instagram, and create the field. Now click into it and label these fields. That's YouTube, Instagram. And something I like to do is add my actual link to my social media profiles. So I can come into my YouTube profile. There it is, copy the URL, come back into Airtable. Let's create a new field. We can add a URL type. Just name it URL or account link, whatever you want. I'll create the field and paste in my actual URL. There we go, there's my URL. Now I can just click on this link and it'll take me straight to my actual YouTube account. I also like to put my associated emails. We can create a new field, email field, and create that field. Then I can type in my email associated with this account, just keeping track of all your account information, all your login information, using this as a viable tool to keep track of your different accounts. I have something like 30 different Instagram accounts that need to be managed and taken care of. So all of that stuff can get stored in here. I'm gonna leave it at that for now. All we really need is the account names right here. Cool, so let's jump back into our content workflow table. I'm gonna click the plus to create a new field. So it'll be a link to another record. Again, don't worry if this doesn't quite make sense yet. The more you do it, following along, the more you'll be able to figure it out on your own. So now we have our accounts table. I'm gonna link to the accounts table. I'm gonna leave on allow linking to multiple records. I can link to multiple accounts at a time. And I'll name this field accounts. Click create field. Now we can look up that information again. What we need to look up is just the platform information, right? Which platforms we need to post to, just to label that out. That way, when we send it down the automation chain, it'll find that platform label and post to that platform. So I'm gonna toggle that lookup field on, click add one field. And now we can see that lookup field pop in here. Platform from the accounts table. I'm gonna go ahead and rename this one right now, double click on it and just name it simply platforms. Which platforms are we posting to? Cool, so now I can link in my accounts and those platforms will automatically pop in. So I'll go ahead and click into this, click the plus, I'll add my YouTube account. We can see that platform pops in. I'll click the plus again, add in my Instagram account, and we can see that platform pops in. All right, we're almost done with this table. I'm going to click the plus to create a new field. This one's just going to be our button to send to the publish queue. So this will be a checkbox type. I like to use the little thumbs up style here for the button, and we can name this publish or send to publish queue or ready to publish, something like that, just to say, yes, this one, send it off. Let's click on create field. Now we've got our publish button. This simple checkbox we can use as a button. If I click in here, we'll say, yep, ready to go, or no, not ready to go. Now, the last thing I like to add just to make sure we're sending fully finished records is the status here. So I'm going to click the plus to create a new field. This will be a single select drop down. We'll name it status. And for the options, we can have different status options here, something like new, in progress, ready to publish. I'll color code these, new, in progress, and ready to publish. Create the field. Actually, before we create the field, let's click the default. These will come in as new status. Create the field. Now, just to test that one off, if I create a new record down here, click the plus here, we'll see a new record gets created, the record ID automatically gets created, and that status is automatically set to new. So that finishes off the content workflow table. Now, the major distinction I want to make here is you can use Airtable completely for free to build all of this stuff and use it and run it with n8n. You're going to have to upgrade to the Airtable team plan to run the backend Airtable automations. That's what I love about Airtable. It's actually an automation tool, not just a spreadsheet or database. You can run automations in Airtable itself to build out your workflows. So that is what I'm doing in my content management system. I'm running an automation from my content workflow table into my publish table, keeping all the data clean and organized and neat automatically. Okay, what we're gonna do in this video is skip that, keep using Airtable for free, and run your n8n automation from your content workflow table. All right, don't worry if that doesn't make sense. We're gonna keep this one nice and simple and simply run your automation in Airtable for free. All right, so we're gonna have the publish button, the status, be our indication that this is actually ready to publish through n8n to our social media platforms. So let's go ahead and jump in here and add a new status. We can say, instead of ready to publish, we'll call this one in publish queue, and we'll add a new status called published when something has been published. I'll color code these just like that and save it. Cool, so we're building this one out for free in Airtable. We'll still have to use n8n, and I highly recommend using n8n cloud version. That is the paid version of n8n. They host your instances for you. Much more simple and very easy to build stuff out in n8n cloud rather than trying to troubleshoot and work around your self-hosting. But of course, if you want to self-host n8n, that is the option available to you to keep this completely free. So we're done in Airtable for now. We're going to jump into n8n. So here I am in n8n. I've created a new blank workflow. By the way, if you want to check out n8n, I have the link in the description below. You can click that link to sign up for n8n. So in my blank new workflow, I'm going to come up here, rename this workflow, post to socials, something like that, and we can get started here. So in n8n, first thing we always need when creating an automation, no matter what tool you're using, is a trigger. So we're gonna have to create our first node, a trigger node. This trigger node is gonna be the schedule node. So I'll just type in schedule. We can find the schedule trigger. This is how we're going to schedule our posts, setting the post time right here in the scheduler. So I can set this to every day at, let's do something like 4 p.m. Every day at 4 p.m. This is saying every one day. So every day at 4 p.m. this will activate and kick off our automation chain. Cool, so click the plus here to create the next node. This can be the most complex part of this automation, is setting up a code node, right? So we keep everything no code here, but in case we have to use code, we can use this code node just like that. So it comes up with a default code right here. Again, don't need to know anything about coding. We're going to use ChatGPT. I'll jump back over to ChatGPT and say something like, write me a code node for n8n that will generate a random number of minutes between 0 and 90. I'll explain this right here in a second, but we need to generate a random number. You can set these numbers to whatever you want, but I'll explain that in a second. I'm going to send that off. We have a random number of minutes being generated right here. It's given an example output, random minutes equals 37. That's perfect. So I'm going to copy this code, come into n8n, and paste the code right there. Let's go ahead and execute the step. Let's see what we get. There's our random number of minutes, 33 minutes, perfect. So the reason we're generating a random number of minutes is because we want to humanize the posting schedule. If you're running that schedule and it's posting at exactly 4 o'clock every single day, it'll start to look a little automated, a little suspicious. So we need to just randomize it a little bit just to give Instagram's algorithm a little breathing room to say, all right, this person is being human and being, doing regular activity on Instagram. But just in case for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of these platforms, we're going to humanize it just a little bit by adding in that random number of minutes to our posting schedule. So the way we actually add that in, I'm going to click the plus to create a new node. I'll type in wait to find the wait node, and we can wait a number of minutes right here. So I'm going to change the wait unit to minutes, and now we can see we are waiting 5 minutes. When this node runs, it's going to run for 5 minutes just waiting. Well, we can link in our random number of minutes. I'll just delete this out and grab our random minutes and drop it down right there. So we can see 33 minutes was generated in the previous step. That's going to wait 33 minutes. What that actually does now is when the schedule node triggers, it'll trigger at 4 o'clock. This will wait 33 minutes and we'll effectively have our post being posted at 4:33. Cool. Just to show this off one more time, I'll come in here to the code node, click on execute step. We'll see another random number of minutes be generated, 23 minutes. Cool. And I come back into the wait node. It's already linked up and we see that 23-minute wait timer set. Awesome. Let's click the plus to create a new node. This will be our Airtable node to get our records that are ready to be posted. So I'm going to type in Airtable. Let's find the Airtable node and we want to search records. Okay, let's go ahead and set up our Airtable credential here. I have a bunch already set up. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to click on create new credential and we need to find our access token in Airtable. So if you're setting this up for the first time, you need to keep in mind these scopes right here. Don't worry about it quite yet, but in case you're wondering where I get this information in the next step, you'll see we're adding this to our Airtable access token. So I'm going to come back into my Airtable base. We can come down to your profile information, your account information right here. And we have the Builder Hub. I'm going to open the Builder Hub in a new browser tab, come into the Builder Hub and down to developers, access tokens. You can see all my access tokens right here. I'm going to go ahead and just create a new access token, name it post demo. You can name this, permanent Airtable key, my Airtable access, whatever you want. I'm just going to name mine post demo. And now this is where we add those scopes from n8n. So we're going to need data.recordsRead. Click on add a scope, data.recordsWrite. Click on add a scope and schema.basesRead. That's where I got that information in n8n. So now we have to give a base access. So click on add a base. You can find your new Airtable base. I have too many bases, but here's the new one right here. This one, post scheduler demo. That's the one I'm working on currently. And we can create that token. So that is your access token. You want to write this down, keep it safe. I'm going to copy mine and right away come back into Airtable. Let's create a new table, start from scratch, name it API keys or access tokens or keys or something like that, keychain, whatever you want. I'll name mine API keys, click save. I'll delete out 5 default fields. Now we can add in our keys into this table. I'll rename the grid view, all data. This first key is my Airtable access token. I'll click the plus to create a new field. This would be a long text field. We can name it key. click create field. And now we have a nice, neat storage system for all of our API keys and access tokens. There we go. So make sure you keep yours safe. Don't let anybody see that. That is your secret key. I'm going to delete this one after this video. Keep yours safe and secure. That's how people are going to actually access your Airtable base. All right, let's jump back into n8n. And now we can paste that access token right there. We can name this connection, name it whatever you want. I'll name mine post demo. And since I have so many, I just need to name it, delete this so I remind myself. Click save, that'll create that connection. And now we are ready to connect your n8n workflow to your Airtable base. We see that credential connected right there. From the list now, you can choose your Airtable base. There it is. And from the table list, we can choose the content workflow table. Again, we're keeping this one free in Airtable. So we're going to work directly from the content workflow. And now we can filter records that are ready to publish, right? So back in Airtable, we can do that a couple of ways. We can check to see if the publish button is checked and the status is set to in publish queue. That way we're making sure we have a double check system here. Everything is ready to go. We're not accidentally publishing things. So by keeping this one free, we're not running the Airtable automations to automatically update this. We're gonna manually click this and then manually click that. That will make sure, double checking, we are ready to publish those records. Cool, so we need to write a new formula right here. This is an Airtable formula to check for those fields, right? So we can have ChatGPT do this again. Let's jump back over there. We're gonna say, and just type in exactly what you need, right? I need an Airtable formula to add to an Airtable search node in n8n to filter records by 2 different fields in Airtable. Okay, the first field is a checkbox called publish that must be checked. The second field is called status and is a single select dropdown that must be set to in publish queue. So typos and all, that's fine, but we need to make sure we're capitalizing and spelling the actual things we're checking. So the field names and the settings must be spelled correctly, just so Airtable knows those are the things we're looking for, and n8n knows those are the things we're looking for spelled exactly that way. So we're gonna send that one off. Cool, so now we're checking this formula here. Is publish checked, and is status equal to in publish queue. So I'm gonna copy that back into n8n, paste that right there, and go ahead and test this step. Now, what I want to do just to keep testing down the automation chain, I'm going to click outside of this node and I'm going to toggle off the wait node. We don't actually want to wait 0 to 90 minutes every time we're testing this. So I'm going to click on this, toggle it off just like that. And while we're here, let's come up to save the workflow. There we go. Now it'll run from this one straight into this one. I'll click back into the Airtable node and click on execute step. Great, so it found 2 items, 2 records. Let's go double check what's going on. Back in Airtable, here we have 2 records that are set to publish and the status is in publish queue. So my double check system fired off on these 2 records. We don't necessarily want to double post immediately. That's going to be a sign of automation. If you have posts that are just back to back or at the same time, that can't necessarily happen in real life. A human can't post 2 posts at the same time. You have to literally get on the app and start posting if you're on Instagram or TikTok, right? So even if multiple records are ready to post and ready to go, we only want 1 to come through. Okay, so the next node, let's click the plus to create a new node. This will be a limit node. So even if we have multiple posts ready, we only want to post 1 of those to all your social platforms. So I'll execute this step. Now we can see 1 item is coming through. It's going to be the next one in the list, right? And that list will just keep going down and posting the first one on that list. Okay, the way that we start to remove records from that list, ensuring that they've been posted, we're going to add the next step in here. This will be Airtable. Find the Airtable node. We want to update a record. We have our same credential automatically popping in. We're going to choose our Airtable base, choose the table. This will be the content workflow table. Now we need to find which record we need to update. So columns to match by ID. We need to find that ID. That's the first thing we're going to link in. So find the ID from the limit node, pop that in. And what do we want to update? We don't want to update any of the information. We don't want to change the title, change the file. We don't want to change the hashtags. What we do want to change is the status. So we're going to set the status to published. This has been published or will be in a couple seconds. So we can get rid of all these other fields. We only want to change the status field to published. Okay, so when I run this one, I'll execute that step. There we go. That record is now set to published. If we jump back into Airtable, there it is, set to published. Now, when we run this again, our double check method here won't pick up this record to be published again. In fact, we can do a double check method back in here. Instead of just changing the status to published, back in n8n, I'm going to click on add column to send and put in our publish checkbox back in here. So I'll click on publish. There's our publish checkbox, and we want to uncheck this, leave it unchecked, checked, unchecked, right? So just to test this, I'm going to go back into Airtable. I'm going to set this status back to in publish queue. Let's go back into n8n and let's run this whole thing again. I'm going to save it and we can execute the entire workflow. Schedule trigger fires off. Code node generates random minutes. We skip the wait timer. We get all of our records ready to publish. We only let one pass through and we set that one to published. Let's jump back into Airtable. We can see now, okay, this one is unchecked and the status is set to published. That one will not come through on a second run. Just to demo that, let's run the entire automation again. We should get one record passing the search node. There it is, only one item has passed through. Back into Airtable now. Both of those records have been published, ready to go, just like that. So the next phase is actually setting up the publishing automation to the social platforms. So far, if you're feeling overwhelmed already, that is okay. This is a lot of information to take in, following along, getting things figured out. But I'm sure if you're just learning this stuff, it's pretty confusing at this point already. If you're interested, I have a 7-day automation bootcamp. You can join the bootcamp, work through this entire build to build your content management system. I go into much more detail, breaking things down step by step, very slowly, video by video. It's a lot more simplified to walk you through it, and I can get into detail about explaining things step by step if you're a complete beginner. I have the link to my 7-day bootcamp in the description below. Definitely recommend checking that out if you're interested in learning this stuff. Join the 7-day bootcamp, okay? I have these templates and everything to download over there. If you want to check it out and just grab the templates, feel free to do so, but I highly recommend joining the bootcamp if you're feeling lost and overwhelmed. It's very easy to feel that way learning all this stuff. It is a lot to take in. So check out the 7-day bootcamp. Look forward to seeing you over there. But if you're rocking and rolling, following along, let's keep at it. All right, so we are going to jump back over to n8n. Let's take a look here. We have the final node for updating the record in Airtable. Next is going to be the process of posting to the social media platforms. So next node is going to be this awesome tool. I have the link in the description of this video to this incredible tool we're going to be using. To start off, we need an HTTP node. So I'm going to click the plus here, type in HTTP to find the HTTP request node. Now, setting up HTTP request nodes are pretty tricky if you've never done it before. It's just understanding what goes in here and how I'm actually finding all this information. But what we're gonna do is jump over to the tool we're gonna use. That is this one right here. Again, check the link in the description to check out this tool. You can see all the accounts that we can post to using this service. So whatever accounts you want to post to, you're gonna log in right here. However, there is a note right here. Log into your social account before connecting. And for Facebook, select each page individually. Do not select all pages when you're connecting. So a couple notes there from the developer, Sabrina Romanov, super awesome. She is killing it in this AI automation space. So log into your social accounts, then you can log in to the service here with this tool. You can see my connected accounts, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and X. And then up here is my Facebook account. All right, so once you log in there, we're going to set up the API. So come into the API section right here, and you can generate your API key. Click regenerate and copy the API key just like that. Let's jump back into Airtable, and right away we can store that API key in our API keys tab right here. This is super handy just to load everything into Airtable to keep track of. Again, keep your API keys safe. I'm going to delete these keys after this video. Yours, you'll want to keep secret and safe. Cool. It's very simple to set this up using ChatGPT. So I'm going to come in here to view the API docs. Anytime you're setting up a service with an HTTP request node in n8n, you're going to have to read the docs to figure out how to set up the HTTP request node. Luckily, we can do that very easily. What we need to find in any service is the API reference docs. So I'm going to click on that. You can see what we can do: publish a post, upload media, create a video, find video, delete video, and adding voice IDs. So we want to publish a post. Now for the publish post endpoint here, if we click on that, we can read through this, see exactly what we need to do. However, this service also requires uploading your media, uploading your content to the internal database here. So we're going to need to upload the media first. So again, we can read through this, figure out what we need to do. Even better than that, let's come up here to copy these docs. I'm going to jump into ChatGPT. I'm actually going to start a new chat with Chat, and check this out. GPT-5 just released and just popped in here during the recording of this video. I got my new GPT-5 set up. So I'm going to paste in here the docs, the entire thing, right? Just all this mess that I don't really want to read through. I'll type in, I need you to walk me through setting up an HTTP node step by step. Cool, so here is the step-by-step process to set up this node. We can just follow this. If there's anything you don't understand, for example, authentication right here, you can just copy that section, paste it back into the chat, and simply say, I don't understand. So walking through this stuff, pretty simple. What we need, I'm just gonna scroll back up. We're gonna set the HTTP method to post, jump back into n8n, set the method to post. Let's go find the URL. That is this right here. Copy that, paste in the URL. For headers, I'll check the header box. It says what headers we need right here. Content type, we'll copy that, paste that in. The value is application JSON. I'll paste that in right there. By the way, guys, I have a GPT that I built that helps you work through building out HTTP nodes, building out your entire n8n workflows. You can have a chat with this and build out HTTP nodes. For example, getting Supabase, getting a URL from Supabase bucket, stuff like that. So I'll put the link for this in the description of this video. Back in n8n, I'm gonna, under headers, add a parameter. This one is authorization, and this is where we can put the API key that you generated. For API keys, we'll type in the word bearer space, then paste your API key. So I'm going to come back into Airtable, grab my API key, and paste that right there, just like that. Now for the body, I'll toggle on send body. Let's double check what we need from ChatGPT. Send body equal to true, content type is JSON, and we'll send this JSON right here. Let's jump back into n8n, body toggled on, send JSON, and we need to specify the JSON just like that and paste that in right there. I'm gonna switch this to expression. I'm gonna expand out the expression. There's a little toggle button right here to change it from fixed to expression mode. Then we can click this little button to expand out the expression. And now we can link in the media we want to upload dynamically into this section right here. So I'm gonna delete out this default URL. I'm going to come into my limiter. This is letting the record from Airtable pass through, and we're going to need the file URL. So what you can notice here is that we don't actually have a file URL coming through. We can get it from the update record node here or the limiter. That file URL is not coming through yet because back in Airtable, in the content workflow, I don't have any records with an actual file. So I'm gonna rerun this one after dropping in a file to be published. I'm gonna go find some random file, just maybe an image or something, maybe a quick short video just to test with, drop it in here and rerun this one. So I got my sample video, my testing video. I'm gonna drop that in there. That will load that actual video into this first record. Now this is the one we're gonna keep running down and testing with. So I'm going to reset this status back to in publish queue, and I'm going to set it ready to publish. That's our double check method right there. I'm also gonna add a title just so we can make sure all the data we need is coming through. I'll name the title test title. For the caption, I'll rename this test caption just so we can load up all this sample data to come through. Cool, so my video has loaded up in this field in Airtable. Let's go run the automation in n8n. I'm gonna jump back over there one more time and run the entire automation from the beginning. So I can just click execute workflow here or come and click execute workflow right here. That'll trigger the schedule trigger, generate the random minutes. We'll skip the wait timer, pull that record through, and we'll get an error in the HTTP node because we have not finished setting this one up. So jumping back into the HTTP request node, just double click on the node to get back into it. We can finish off with the actual file URL coming from Airtable. So I'm gonna go ahead and expand out the JSON body right here in the HTTP request node. Clicking on that expansion button. Now I'll just drag this over so we can see it a little bit better. In our update record Airtable node, now we can see the URL coming through. Can also see that coming through from the limiter. Here is the file URL. So we can grab it from either node. I guess I'll just grab it from the update record node, the previous node. You can see the test title coming through, the test caption coming through, and what we need in this step is the URL, the file URL. So I'm gonna drag this URL, drop it down in between these quotes. It's important to have this JSON structure just like this. You can go ahead, copy that if you haven't already. Copy that just like that, and then you can drop in your URL back in between the quotes just like that. So there's the full Airtable URL. I'm gonna click outside of this node and click on execute step just to test we are able to upload to the posting tool. Now I got this error. Anytime you run into errors, it's definitely part of the process, troubleshooting, figuring stuff out. So I'm gonna come over here and click this copy error details button. Jump into ChatGPT. In the same thread, we're talking about building out the HTTP request node. I'll just paste in my error. Don't even need any context. I'll just send off that error. And as you can guess, just from the error itself, it's saying we have an authorization error. We need to add in the correct API key. So let me just jump back into Airtable and make sure I'm copying my Airtable, my API key correctly. Copy that, jump back into n8n. I'll paste that API key again. We want to make sure there is a space right here after the word bearer, and I'll go ahead and test that again. And we got that coming through just fine. So I'm going to click outside of this node. I'll just save the workflow and we can move on down to the next node. So what I'd like to do here is pull everything from Airtable, all the relevant details. So I'm going to click the plus, create a new node, type in set to find the edit fields node. Now we can manually drag and drop all the relevant information we want into this edit fields node. We're basically setting the data here that we want to pass on. So let me show you what I mean. If I open up the Airtable update record node, we can see it's got a bunch of stuff we don't necessarily need. The record IDs, all of these extra things in here. So what I'm gonna do first is grab the URL we just uploaded, pull that into the edit fields node, and we can see it's named URL. Very simple, just like that. So you'll learn more about data types as you go, but you can see this first data type has this little A right here. That means it's a string data type. If we move on down, we can see different data types. This box right here means it's an object. 3 little lines means it's an array. The number sign, this means it's a number, and so on. So we can extract some of this data. An array is basically like a list of items. An object can contain contain multiple data types, just basic understanding of data types. So an array is basically a list. So we can see in this file array, we have a bunch of stuff in here. We want to extract just the simple data type out of the arrays, out of the objects, and pass it on down the chain. So if I run this one right now, just hit execute step, you can see simple string that passes on. It's not inside of an array. It's not inside of an object. We want to do that for all of the other elements we need to pass on. So we can see in the fields object, we have the title string. I'm going to look for the actual data that I want. So this is my text I typed in here for the title, test title. I want to bring the actual information, so the actual title. So I'm going to grab the title right here. Now you can see if I run this one more time, just to illustrate this stuff, it's going to be inside of that object, and we have the title string. What I'm going to do is simply rename this to title, hit execute step one more time, and now we've extracted the string out of the object. Don't have to know about any of that stuff, but what we're trying to do here is isolate the individual strings to send on down the chain. So I'm going to grab here the file type, rename it to type. I'm going to grab not the custom caption, we want the full caption with the hashtags right here. So I'll grab the full caption, drop that in, rename it simply to caption, and we want the platforms to be published to. So I'll rename this platform. Cool, click execute step. Now we can see all of the strings extracted from all of the Airtable information. All of the strings are passing on down. Cool, so I can rename this one Airtable details or Airtable data, something like that. I'll click outside of this node. Now we can send it on down to each platform we want to post to. So I'm going to click the plus. The next node is going to be a filter. We'll set up a unique filter for each platform. Now this is a simple logic statement right here. This is going to be if a condition is equal to another condition or another value. So what we need to do here is drag in the platform, right? We're going to check the platform. If platform is equal to, and now we need to spell this exactly the same down here. In fact, just to make sure that everything is going to catch safely and not get bypassed, we can change the comparison here. We can change this to string, that's our data type, contains. Okay, so if the platform contains the word YouTube, we're going to pass on down and publish to YouTube, right? Now we can add another check in here just to be safe. We can bring over the file type. So if the file type, let's actually add a condition. So if the platform is equal to YouTube and the file type, we'll drag that in for value 1, is equal to, we'll drop this down. It's a string data type, so we want to make sure we're using the string data type. Contains, and we can type this in just like this. Type in video, or we can drag and drop this just by copying and pasting the actual text, right? So if file type contains the word video, so we're double checking this. If the platform is YouTube and the file is a video, we're going to pass it on to YouTube. Now, something I like to add in here, just adding a property down here, we'll ignore case. Just in case everything is, you don't have the exact capitalization right, all of that stuff, we'll just keep it like that. Cool, so if I execute the step now, we can see what's going on. This will keep this item, this will pass the filter and move it on down to the next node where we can actually post it to YouTube. If any of these things were untrue, it would just get discarded and not pass this filter. All right, I'll save the workflow. Let's jump into the next node. I'll click the plus. This will be another HTTP node, but we can actually duplicate this one right here. I'll right click on it, click duplicate, drop it down right there. Plug it in by dragging the handle into the back of it. Now, right away, I'll just rename this one YouTube. We are posting to YouTube, and we can double click into it to see what we need to change. All right, so back into the documents, we need to set up that YouTube request, right? So we need to come back into the API reference for the documents of the posting tool. All right, what do we want to do? We want to publish a post. So I'm going to click on that one. Again, let's just copy the docs. We'll paste in that entire thing and say, build me the HTTP node to post to YouTube. Let's send that off. So we got that stuff back. Method is post. We need this URL right here. I'll copy that, jump back into n8n, paste that URL right there. Now I know already the headers are going to remain the same, so we can skip down to the body here. In the JSON body, we'll need the new one. Let's jump back into ChatGPT. Here's our new JSON body. So I'm going to copy that, come into n8n, expand out this window, and I'll delete everything in here to paste in the new JSON body. Now we can just run down and start filling in this information. So the account ID, this is all placeholder information. We need to add in our account ID. So the way this JSON structure works, we need to leave the quotation marks. Okay, everything has to be inside of these quotes. So I'm going to delete out the placeholder text and leave the quotation marks for the account ID. Let's come back into the tool, come into my accounts, and you can see my connected accounts right here. This tool makes it really easy. I'll just come over here to copy my account ID. Super simple to set this up, like shockingly simple to set this up. Paste my account ID right there. For the text, I'll delete the placeholder text. This is going to be the caption or the description for YouTube. I'll drag in my caption just like that. Now it's okay that we're working with test information. I'm not actually going to post this one. We just need to run the data down and make all these connections, make all these mappings complete so that when we're getting new and actual data we want to post, everything will be linked up and working. So media URLs, same thing over here. I'll delete out the placeholder text, leaving the quotation marks, drag in the URL. Platform is YouTube, and YouTube title can go right here. We'll drag in the title. Now these are the rest of your regular settings for YouTube. The status is set to public, notify subscribers equal to true, and is made for kids is false. If you're making children's media, obviously you want to turn this one on. That's a whole nother subject, but for the most part, you want to leave this set to false. Cool, so that is it. Guys, if I hit this button, this will actually post this video with these details to YouTube. So I'm not going to hit execute step. If you set it up where you have a video you actually want to post, you can hit execute step right there and that will make that post. So I'm not going to execute it. I'll click save. Guys, that is it for your automation. For every new account you want to add, you're going to add a filter and an HTTP request node. I'll show you how to do that for Instagram just to make sure you're on the right track. So let's hop into Airtable. I'll set up this fake record right here to be published to Instagram. So Instagram doesn't necessarily need a title, but I can just add a title in here for this testing run. Doesn't really matter. For the file, I'll just copy and paste my same video. Test caption, I'll just make something up. Hashtag presets, set it to Instagram. Accounts, find my Instagram account, and we can reset the publishing statuses right here. So I'll set it to publish. We have our double check method. I'll set this to in publish queue. Now it comes up later on why you want a double check method in here. That'll come up in future processes for more integrations and more, AI generated stuff. We want to have a double check in here, but for now we're just manually setting our publish statuses to true. Can jump back into n8n. Back in n8n, let's add a new route to post to Instagram. So I'm just going to select these two nodes. I'll drag a selection box around them. You can right click, hit duplicate. I'm just going to hit Control D on a PC, Command D on a Mac to duplicate. You can drag around your nodes however you like. Now from the Airtable data, we need to send that Airtable data off to Instagram. So I'm going to click on the little circle here, drag a new route down to this filter. We can double click into this filter to set the new parameters we want to check for. We want to check for platform contains the word Instagram. That way we're posting to Instagram. We can also check if the file type is a video. That way we're only posting reels. We can set up another situation where we're only posting images or we're only posting carousels. I'll leave that up to you guys to experiment and figure out. I will be posting more videos detailing the precise ways to do all this stuff, but this one is just a first build of this entire system. So I'll let you guys figure that out if you want to. Otherwise, stay tuned for more videos on this exact subject. Cool. So we're going to leave it set to that so we can post Instagram Reels. I'll rename this node Instagram. You can double click into it. Now I know we need to post. Everything is the same here. We just need to change the JSON body. So I'll come back into ChatGPT and say, build me the Instagram post HTTP request node. It already has the documents loaded in there, so we can just ask it to build out the HTTP node for Instagram now. Cool, everything the same. We need the JSON body. Let's copy that back into n8n. I'll expand out the expression here, click the little button, delete this entire thing, and paste in the new JSON body for Instagram. I'll fill out everything the same, account ID, jump back into the tool and find my Instagram connection, copy the account ID back into n8n, paste it. Text will be the caption, can pull that in from the Airtable data. So this filter doesn't actually have the information since we dragged off a new route, but we can still get it from Airtable data. Drag the caption into the text, drag the URL, Instagram, and we could add any alt text we want down here. You can automate that process or you can manually type in something here for the alt text. For now, I'll just leave it at that. But we are all linked up to post to Instagram, just like that. So it's going to be the same process to connect all of your other social media accounts. You can click and drag, organize your space, something like that. There it is, guys. You're finished posting automation in n8n. I'll save the workflow. I'll toggle back on the wait node. And once I activate this workflow, this will now run on that set schedule in the trigger every time that triggers and pull your media from Airtable to be posted. So you can fill up this table with as much media as you want, hundreds of records ready to go on that schedule and get things posting. If you ever want to just make another post manually, you can come into n8n and just hit the execute workflow button. That'll just post immediately, just like you're testing it. It'll make that post, run through the chain, and make that post immediately if you ever want to just do a manual post. We can get more in depth with manual posting specific records if you want to post this one and not this one and things like that later on in more videos. As I mentioned, I'll be creating more videos on that exact subject, getting really precise and fine-tuning this. But as of now, congratulations, you have a finished working content management system that you built yourself that you can expand and customize however you want. Guys, excellent job making it through this video. If you want to join my school community, I have the link in the description below. We cover all kinds of automations like this. I can offer one-on-one help, one-on-one coaching if you need help making it through some of the harder errors you might run into, troubleshooting, any of that stuff we can take care of one-on-one in the school group. I look forward to seeing you in the group, and I'll see you in the next video.